So I started small, and it's one of the things that actually the PhD Accelerator program taught me to do. Start with a time period you know you can handle and be disciplined about it.
So today we're going to be talking to Alexis Mori, who's a PhD student in adjunct therapy. And we'll be discussing Alexis' PhD journey, and she'll be sharing lots of useful tips for you as PhD students, how to accelerate your progress and, just how to progress faster, I suppose, in your PhD journey, and how to overcome difficulties when they come your way. So yeah, thanks for making the time, Alexis. It's really good to have you here.
You're welcome, Marek. Pleasure to be with you today.
So I just want to start, before we get into like your PhD journey and what you've learned from it, I wanted to maybe start by talking about adjunct therapy, because, I'm sure people have heard the word therapy, but perhaps they don't know exactly what adjunct therapy is. So can you tell us a little bit more about what you do?
Definitely. So what I do is I look at the mind-body-soul connection. And I come from a background of arts and humanities. I don't have the typical training of a standard psychotherapist or anybody who's worked in clinical science or clinical psychotherapy. I actually come to I guess you would call it the profession of being a therapist from the opposite end. So I look at it as a conglomeration and a journey of tailoring individual needs and goals into a program where I sit with a client. We talk about their hopes, dreams, desires. I've talked with clients about something as simple as changing their environment, adding better nutrition, work-life balance, but also adding in something creative, whether it's art, whether they find a new hobby with animal-assisted therapy. Usually dogs or horses are kind of the top choices. But I've also worked with veterans that have cats and have used their home as their therapeutic center, and they have one or two cats that are their partner and their companion in improving their life. I've used poetry, and that's what I'm actually writing my PhD dissertation on, is how to build greater internal dialogue and resilience through the use of poetry groups and poetry therapy. So I kind of stepped away from the classic patient on a couch and talking about trauma and childhood dreams to let's talk about what your life is like at the present moment and what is one area of your life that you would like to improve. And then I try to kind of match small steps and put together the small steps and build towards bigger hopes and goals with clients and other counselors. So. Yeah, that's what I do.
You mentioned that you come from an arts and humanities background. So is that how you're trying to marry the two, the psychology and arts and humanities, through the use of poetry in psychological therapy?
Correct. Yes, because I am a huge believer that internal dialogue and self-coaching, how people build self-esteem and self-confidence, really determines how they want to present themselves in society and what improvements they want to make in life. Positive conversations tend to bring positive results. When we speak about ourselves negatively, or we are our own worst critic, or we have that internal voice that says you can do it, but then you may go into a quiet private space and say, oh my gosh, I can't believe I said that to somebody, or I'm never going to make it work. That definitely affects our chances for growth and success. So, yeah. That is what I hope to work on.
That's interesting because the other day I was talking to another PhD student who's also on our program, PhD Accelerator, Shami, and he was saying that one of the problems that he had was this internal voice that was telling him that I'm a bad writer. Like I'm great in the lab, I can do my experiments, I'm very good at that, but I hate writing and I'm really bad at writing, and that was for him, the biggest thing that he had to overcome to actually start writing and get better at it. And I've heard it a lot from other PhD students. So I suppose, with your experience as a counselor and therapist, what advice would you give to people who kind of maybe they avoid writing or they fear writing and they just kind of tell themselves that I'm a bad writer, I can't do it, I hate it?
I would tell those people, accept the presence of the inner critic. Acknowledge what that voice and what your intuition is trying to tell you. And then recognize that what you can do is start to improve the dialogue and start to improve, I like to call it personal habit. For instance, I love writing, but the hardest thing for me to do is to clear away all the distractions and put my, actually physically put my body in the chair to write. So I try to start out with time block. I usually reserve 20 or 30 minutes. And whether it's something as simple as a journal entry, that's how I started. And then if I did that, I pushed that part aside and then I said, okay, I did 20 minutes of writing. Now I have to do a similar action with academic writing. So I started small, and it's one of the things that actually the PhD Accelerator program taught me to do. Start with a time period you can handle and be disciplined about it. So if it's 5 minutes and you're on the bus or you're on the train or you're sitting in the parking lot before class or before work, if you can take that time and say, I can do this, you can do it. It takes the discipline to say, I have this time and this is what I'm going to devote this time period to. You can't think about it. You can't overanalyze it. You have to recognize the choice, and then you have to match your actions to that choice. Writing itself is a very solitary action, and it's a very demanding action. The hardest thing to do is to ask ourselves to follow through and do the writing. I've looked into doing programs with ghostwriting. I've had offers to do ghostwriting. I've pitched, ghostwriting programs or, contracts out to people through LinkedIn and social media. It's great. It's lucrative, but it's hard to get somebody to say yes. And then you have to build that trust and rapport with the person. And sometimes the way I look at it as I have to be willing to have that trust and rapport with myself and the strength to say, you have to write. Nobody else is going to do it for you. I tend to come at it too from Lev Vygotsky's theory of creativity. Inside every one of us is secretly an artist, an actor or an actress, a writer, a poet, a playwright, a dreamer. How we choose to mobilize and funnel those opportunities is distinct and individual, but it is also a great motivator, and it's a freeing action when we get that going. It's hard to keep the momentum going forward, though, which is why I find myself coming back to, certain lessons, and especially the earlier lessons of the PhD Accelerator program, and 10 minutes, one day on writing analytically, 20 minutes on a different day of how to do time management, how to organize your day. There are certain things that I come back to, and I use that with my therapy clients as well. the worst thing somebody can do is to say, I can't do it, or I don't have enough time to do it, because that means that you're shutting yourself down. And if the work is meant to get done and growth is really something that somebody's interested in doing, you have to give yourself the opportunity to take that time and at least try, because nobody really knows what will work until we try a bunch of different things. And it's something that I've used to support clients is, well, you figured out what hasn't worked, and we can make a list of that. But if we know what hasn't worked, we can look at other methods and other processes that we haven't tried and see maybe if one of these new opportunities will work. So, yeah,
Absolutely.
that's what I go with. Yeah.
And yeah, you mentioned the PhD accelerator program a couple of times. So what was your motivation for joining it, or what were sort of I suppose the challenges that you were facing that made you decide, hey, I want to join as well?
Yeah. For me, I had a wonderful group of instructors who, some finished the program inside of the original timeline. Others had to extend and I guess you would call it buy more credits or buy an extension. And for some of them, it took 5, 6, and in one case, 7 years of just absolutely, trying to present the research in the correct format, trying to organize everything from the original prospectus outline all the way to acceptance from ProQuest or eBresco. And there's a bunch of great, academic writing websites and search engines that my university has used, but also, too, that the same cohort groups and the same students who have gone ahead of me have used for publication. And the exact demands and the exact qualities that each one of those organizations has asked for is very distinct and specific. I had worries. How is my writing going to withstand such extensive and such specific review? And I didn't know in advance that the course I would take in the fall and winter of 2023 was going to do exactly that. So I signed up for the PhD Accelerator program and to gain the support of the Academic English Now community, not knowing that something like that was going to be in my future. I had heard stories of other PhD students and cohort members that had gone out to create the right trust and rapport with individual academic editors, or other professors that edit and proofread as a secondary income stream into their lives. And I thought about it and I was like, trying to find that one person, it's like trying to get a job interview, or it's trying to say, I have a job, it's covering my bills, but I need something to do part-time on the side. I didn't want to do that blind, and I didn't want to do it alone. So my reasons for, joining academic English and going through the PhD Accelerator course was to help remedy that situation. And I thought to myself, if I can get in with a group and find that support and find the opportunity to share my writing and improve it before I even got to the stage of writing my dissertation outline and my prospectus, then I think I can give myself a better chance to finish on time if a major life event or life transition has to happen. Unfortunately, my unexpected fear came to pass, and I had to, do a major transition in my personal and professional life, but I didn't feel like I had to do it unsupported. I felt like I could do it and still continue on the correct timeline. So that way I didn't lose time. I maybe had to deal with a few extra obstacles or, a few, time zone changes, but I could still get the work done and get the editing correct. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And I think, when you still have maybe 3 years left of your PhD or something like this, people don't realize how quickly that time passes, right? That's within, just a blink of an eye, you're already in the second year, and then you're already in the third year, and then you're supposed to hand in your thesis very soon. And that time passes very quickly. So, sticking to those deadlines and having a regular progress, it doesn't have to be exponential progress, but just like making steady steps towards your deadline is hugely important. Because I've seen a lot of PhD students just kind of, get bogged down in details, and then they have a few months to finish their PhD, and that's where like panic starts, and it gets very, very stressful.
One of my instructors, and he's a wonderful, dissertation chair, and took the extra time and paid for the extra extensions. He mentioned the fact that he had a PhD student who basically didn't hear from him for 90 days. No progress report, no submissions, no Zoom meetings or check-ins or anything like that. And, after 90 days, he finally gets the person on to a call and sees him face to face. And he says, okay, you've had 90 days. What have you been doing? Have you written anything? Do you have anything to show? Shrugged his shoulders and said, haven't even thought of re-editing or revising a word, not even a single page. And, while it did seem a little funny, there was the shocking reality of you don't get all of that time back. And putting in the work, for 20 minutes a day, putting in, an hour or a few hours on the weekend, not only keeps you accountable, but it gives you the opportunity to improve, whether it's you're improving a research process, improving your writing, improving an outline. And I will be the first to say, as much as I love writing, as much as I love my topic and what I finally chose to dedicate, a year plus of my energy and my life to, it's hard. It's hard to organize your thoughts, and it's hard to look at something I put on paper and something I submitted to my to Lila, my editor, here with Academic English Now. And, it's hard to look at something that maybe my chairperson has looked at and said, while you give great content, I need you to funnel it. I need you to make it clearer. I need you to focus your attention. And there have been times where I've sat down for 2 or 3 hours, and all I've made it through is a single paragraph. But I did the work, and the paragraph was something that I thought I could present at a conference. It was something I believed in, and I saw the beauty in doing the hard work and accepting the critical feedback and reviews. So it's definitely, you have to be willing to commit not only to the daily goals, but the short-term goals. Look at the deadlines. And I'm unusual. I love to work backwards. So if I know that my final deadline for right now is my prospectus, my dissertation outline defense, has to be done by April 20th. I gave myself a timeline and an outline of a best case scenario, and I gave myself an outline and a timeline of a worst case scenario. What I now know is I'm halfway through. I have a beautiful, revised, expanded copy of not only my prospectus, but chapter 1. This week, I will be starting on chapter 2, which is the literature review. And now I'm seeing how I can fit these specific goals, timelines, the information into creating the deadline and keeping myself on track. So the worst thing I have a problem with is page requirements. I tend to think very broadly and very conceptually, and it's something that a lot of my therapy clients really love and enjoy. Does it always translate onto paper the way I imagine and organize it in my head? No, but you have to be willing to embrace the editing process and say, I'm not going to take this as a reflection on me at a personal level. I have to take it as a reflection of, can I improve the message and can I grab my audience faster with more results? So I look at it that way. Yeah.
Absolutely. And what you said about just embracing the hard work or embracing the difficult thing, that's I suppose a key to success I've been thinking about as well recently, because all success lies outside of your comfort zone. Because if you could already write papers for the best journals in your field, you would have already written them. So exactly. You need to step out of your comfort zone and learn something that's going to be really difficult probably, and maybe painful, and will take effort. That's how you learn, and that's how you grow, and that's how you achieve your success. And that's probably the most difficult thing to actually embrace, I suppose, that pain or that difficulty, embrace that challenge and do it every day.
Yeah, and I know for me, one of the things that I like to tell whether it's a family and they're coming in for conflict mediation, or whether it's an individual, is I kind of get them to write out their own definition of what exploration is. So we're all operating at different levels. We all have, an ideal audience member or listener that we would like to, kind of keep in our pocket or, take with us wherever we go in life. But sometimes in order to find that, we have to be willing to explore past experience, what didn't work and what does work. And sometimes what worked yesterday might be different today. And I like to say, each time I try something hard, or each time I try to activate, the next tier or the next step that's above where I'm at. I always like to refer to Peter Senge's The Fifth Discipline. It's when we start to kind of activate that exploration mindset that we find sometimes the most beneficial, but also the most startling answers. It could help raise the quality of your writing. It could help forge a new relationship or a new networking opportunity. We have to give ourselves that support and the opportunity as well to get that sense of exploration going. Because do I know necessarily what's always going to happen on the other side? I don't, but I can keep an open mind and open my eyes and say, I'm willing to try and to explore how that experience improves my writing. Or if I take that critical comment and, I take a paragraph out, or I broaden the scope of a theme, it might lead me to something really special. I don't want to close myself off to that. I want to be open to the possibility. So I think that's one thing that going through the course and, working with the team here at Academic English Now has helped me improve and helped me find. So I can say that's one of the biggest benefits. Yeah.
Nice. If you're looking for more personalized support on writing your literature review, on publishing papers in top Scopus-Indexed journals, then definitely schedule a free one-to-one consultation with my team. We're going to sit one-to-one with you on Zoom or Google Meet and discuss what your current challenges are, what's stopping you from being able to achieve your academic goals, and then we'll together devise a plan that will help you to achieve those goals faster. Now, if that sounds interesting, then there is a link to schedule that free one-to-one consultation, and it's in the description and in the comments to this video.